I ended up testing myself from a pretty young age. The most entrepreneurial thing I did was I sent myself to boarding school. Honestly, I when I was 14, I was anticipating going to a pretty tough high school, and I called. I talked to a teacher about going to an exam school in Detroit, kind of like Boston Latin, and she said that'd be great, but there's this other place. And long story short, I got myself a scholarship and went, and that was the scariest thing I've ever done. Since, nothing compares to waking up nauseous every morning, knowing that everybody else knows more than you know. And it was true. I mean, I wasn't imagining that. It was true. So this is relatively easier to start a company in terms of my, but I think about that, though, in terms of like a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs and they think that they have to have a lightning bolt that will hit them and they'll have the perfect idea and they'll know they're right and they know they're cut out for it. I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Harvard Business School, and the insecurity around those decisions is endemic. It's a hard decision, right, to start anything. And I always think, look back at what you did you picked the harder choice when there was an easier one. It would have been easier for me to go to my local public school. And there were a zillion things that I did like that, where I tested myself, survived, and gained that little inch of confidence every single time. So maybe fast forward my career, I've got 3 chunks in my career. I was an industrial designer. That's the creative part. I guess I own that. I worked in big companies, and I've done 3 startups. So my big company stuff was stuff you'd know, like Hasbro, KED, StrideRite, a couple computer companies, a couple overseas. And my startups were Continuum, which is a product innovation consultancy right out of business school, and Ziggs, which you wouldn't have heard of because we competed with LinkedIn, and they won. Totally lost. But and then this company, and the insight for this company was actually in my big company phase. A lot of people think also that big company is just a ridiculous detour from entrepreneurship. But you can learn a lot in big companies. And one of the things I observed was way back in the 90s at Play School, I was adjacent to the product development team, and they would come up with these amazing ideas for infants and toddlers, and I'd see these fantastic toys that the world should see. And then after a month or 2 or 3, they would fall off the table and we'd be still producing the same toys from last year with a different color or whatever. And I'd say, what happened to that toy? And the answer was always the same. It was Target, Walmart, Kmart, Toys R Us didn't want it. Mm-hmm. And what was happening was that our retail systems got really, really consolidated. And we used to have this sort of ladder of healthy growth from the product's birth, whether it's big company or small, to Main Street, to regional chains, to national specialty stores, and then maybe the big guys, if you could get there. And a lot of those rungs on the ladder were getting broken, even for big companies. We could not get our cool products placed. And I was just so mad when I realized that. I walked around basically mad for 10 years over that because it was so wrong that the best products weren't winning. And fast forward to when I ran a social network, and I actually saw a way to actually take that power back by creating a community that made those decisions rather than buyers at large retailers. They're not evil, those people, by the way. They have tough jobs. But let's do the job we want done. That's what I decided in starting the Grommet. So every day at noon, we launch a product with a video. We've looked at 200 ideas every week to launch the 6 or 7 that we do launch. We launch at noon. By 1 p.m., we know exactly what America thinks of any unknown product. Nobody in the world does that. We have data, we have qualitative information, we have a lot of important stuff to help that company on its path to success. So we've launched some famous things like Fitbit, I'm wearing one,
Me too.
SodaStream. We've launched Bananagrams. A lot of people really love that game. If you're in a startup, you might have Idea Paint on your wall. That came right out of Babson students. And what we're launching today is the future. So pay attention to what we're doing now. Every single day, you'll see the future if you pay attention to what we're launching at the Grommet.